Good afternoon. I know that I'm a bit backlit. I have a Kylo in the window. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out. Should probably give you just a little bit of a medical update since the last we talked. It was prior to the surgery, so I guess it's story time. So I have Ella right here too. They don't leave me alone. They're concerned about me because I haven't been acting right. Recovery. But you know, we'll get there. So it's the evening before the surgery. They tell me I have to go in really early. I have to be there by 6:15. So it's not really a big deal. No water, no really anything. So just kind of hanging out. Josiah and I end up getting up at 5 in the morning. We get ready. I put on like just a pair of sweatpants and a very loose shirt, jacket. Not really too much. And we go. So we get to the hospital. The regular hospital wasn't open, so we went into the emergency room and we explained why we were there. And then they took us into the main hospital. So the person that checked us in was just setting up, so we kind of waited a little bit. We wound up getting there about 15 minutes early. So we took our time getting set in and everything. And then after we were all checked in, I had my wristband, we went to the waiting room. And just hanging out. We are talking for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then they take us in. And from there, they give me a gown. They tell me to pee in a cup. And yeah, so I get in this gown. I crawl into bed after I get the cup situated. They asked me to take out all of my jewelry. I have a belly ring that I had already taken out the night before. I took all of these out. I have 3 on either side. So I took all of those out. And after that, we just kind of waited. And then the nurse came in. She gave me the whole questions and everything. And my rib cage was slightly swollen on my right side because my gallbladder was acting up. So my rib cage felt swollen. It was a little miscolored. Apparently that's not normal, but then again, I have a hyperkinetic gallbladder. So it was something the nurses hadn't experienced, but we couldn't necessarily deem it like unusual, unsafe, whatever, because a hyperkinetic gallbladder people are still kind of learning about. So just kind of hanging out, but the nurse told me I was a mystery because she wanted to see my discolored rib cage, and then the surgeon wanted to see it when she came in, and again they just thought I was a mystery. So that was situated. So after the nurse had me checked in and everything, I had to put on compression socks. And if you've ever put on the compression socks that the hospital gives you, they take at least 5 minutes on either side to get on. It's like so much worse than stockings. If you put on stockings, usually it's just like you pull them up and you're good to go. Well, these I had to inch up because they were just so like very compressed. But the reason why they give you those, and the particular surgeon I was going to see always orders them for this surgery because blood clots are very common. Ow, my waistband is hurting, sorry. Okay, so they always give those to the patients because they prevent blood clots. They go all the way up to like just below your knee, and they're just compressive, so no blood clots. The nurse gave me a Tylenol to drink as little water as I could, because it's supposed to help with the pain after I wake up for the surgery, in addition to everything else that I was going to have. So at this point, I have the IV in the back of my hand, which I still have, if it'll focus. There. So that's where they had the IV. Now if it'll focus again. Yeah. We have a good camera. This is just one that doesn't, it's known for its focus issues, and I don't really want to call them issues because every camera has their quirks, but this particular one, people always say that the focus is weird. But anyway, had the IV attached to my hand. The nurse, when she was pushing the solution through to make sure we had everything good, she said, now there's a possibility that you'll be able to smell it or taste it. Just, it's okay. I just wanted to warn you. So she goes ahead and pushes the stuff through. A little bit goes by, and then I smell it. And because I smell it, I think I should taste it, but I don't taste anything. And it's weird because she asked me what it smelled like. And it was funny because Josiah just like, he laughed at me because he could immediately tell from the look on my face that I smelled it or tasted it or something. But she asked me what it was like, and I'm like, well, it's kind of like just because some people it tastes salty. To me, it just kind of smelled like chemicals. So it just had a very chemically smell to it. And it was just really funny because the way that it happened. After all of that, Josiah and I were just kind of waiting, and then before too long, the anesthesiologist came in. So he introduces himself, he gives me his own exam, listens to my heartbeat. It was really funny because the way that he did my heartbeat, he put the stethoscope on me. He's just like, are you nervous? Your heartbeat sounds a little fast. And I'm like, a little bit. And he was leaning over me so I could see into his pocket. And he says, well, you see that orange syringe in my pocket? Like, yeah. It's like, that's what that one does. Okay. So, yeah, very funny interaction with him. But of course, they attached the IV to my dominant hand, and I had paperwork to sign. So he came in, asked me to sign this form, and basically this form said if it's to receive another injection via IV, to help bring me out of the anesthesia and to just kind of understand what that does if I receive it and just the things that follow. So I sign it. It's fine. And shortly after that, everybody left my room. And then like 5 minutes later, they all come back in. They're like, are you ready? And they're like putting the bed up. They're putting the rails on the bed up. And Josiah's looking at me kind of funny. And the anesthesiologist is just talking to me. And he's just like, all right, and you're injected, so you might want to go ahead and say your goodbyes because you're not going to remember this. And I remember a lot more than they said that I was going to, which I think is funny, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So Josiah comes up to me, he's saying goodbye to me, and then I'm being wheeled down the hallway. We get to probably across the first hallway, and the anesthesiologist is like, it's all right, just lay back, relax, you're not going to remember this. And Josiah had followed us out, but was going through the exit door because of the way COVID regulations were. I got approved for an urgent surgery, so he was with me all through when we were trying to, like, the prep and everything. So he stayed with me up until they took me in, and then he was not allowed in for recovery. So I wasn't going to see him until he picked me up, hopefully later that day, because we were hoping for a laparoscopic surgery. So we go ahead, and I'm getting pushed, and we make it through the first hallway. And that's when the anesthesiologist tells me, just go ahead, relax. You're not gonna remember this anyway. We go through a first set of double doors and I black out for a second. I come back to, we're going through a second set of double doors. I black out for another second. I wake up and I have a bright light, like a big light over me. It's not turned on, but it's like above me and it looks really scary. And I'm like, okay. And then I feel them trying to like move me from my bed onto this table. So I help them get me onto this table, and as soon as I'm on this table, I black out. I don't remember any of it. So then by the time I'm waking up, so by the time I got into surgery, it was 7:30 that they started wheeling me into the operating room. Josiah had heard back from the doctor because right after surgery, the doctor called him to tell him how everything went. They were able to do a laparoscopic surgery. So, with that being said, the doctor called Josiah, and that happened around like 9:30, he told me. Then he was just waiting to hear back from the doctor, or not the doctor, the nurse in the recovery room so he could come and pick me up because she was going to give him the all clear as to when I was ready. So I'm waking up, I'm coming to, and the first thing I ask is, what time is it? And they said it was about 1:30. So that's how long I was under the anesthesia for. They did end up giving me that injection that I had to sign the form for. So it's just one of those things. So I'm like in and out. I know that Josiah's not there and I'm trying not to panic, but I can't really, like, I'm not coherent, obviously. So we're just kind of hanging out. And the nurse is like, all right, just go ahead and take another nap. So lay back down, and I'm in and out enough to ask a few questions. And I don't remember what I asked after the what time it is. But at one point the nurse wanted to get me up and walking to go to the bathroom. Mind you, I don't have to go to the bathroom. She mainly just wants to get me up and walking. So fine, whatever. She helps me out of bed. I managed to walk to the wheelchair and I can't walk. I'm still like so under heavy drugs that I can't walk. My legs feel kind of like jello. So I managed to walk to the wheelchair. She wheels me into the bathroom, helps me get up, and she sits me down. Still don't have to go, but we just sat there for a minute. She's like, all right, it's fine. I really didn't think you had to go. I just thought I wanted to see if you could walk to the bathroom. Because where I was probably about 20 or 30 feet away from the bathroom. So we were kind of close. Still couldn't make it on my own. So get back into the wheelchair. She puts me back in bed, and before this had happened, at one point she had told me that if I started feeling anything like pain or whatever, she showed me the remote. She told me where the pain button was and all that good stuff. So I was set, but she was right there, and I told her I was starting to get nauseous, and she hands me, actually I have one. I can show you exactly what she hands me. She hands me one of these. And because my body had just basically gotten rewired in a way, I had bile, and I got sick on the bile. I managed to mostly get sick in the bag. I had some on my arm, and I got some on the bed beside me. So she puts a towel on the bed, and she lays me back down, and I kind of wipe off what I have on my arm. and we go back to sleep, because at this rate she's like, yeah, no, we're going back to sleep. So we go back to sleep. But before I went back to sleep, I had pressed the pain button. I don't remember at what point I had pressed it, but I know at one point I had to press the button because it was pretty bad. So they got me some more fluids and whatnots, and yeah, made me a little bit more comfortable. So after that, the nurse wanted me to go back to sleep for a little bit longer. So I go back to sleep, and at this rate, I'm just like, I really want to be with Josiah. Like, I just want to see him. I want to talk to him. I'm not really coherent enough, but at least I can try. So I don't remember at what point this was, but at one point I asked her for my phone, and when you get undressed before you go into the surgery, they give you a bag, and you put all your belongings in this bag. So Josiah had left my phone in the bag for me. So the nurse goes ahead, she grabs this bag, or the bag was in the room, but she grabbed my phone out of it, and she handed it to me. And I FaceTimed Josiah, or messengered rather, but I video chatted Josiah. And I don't really recognize myself at this point. Like, I am so pale and just not with it. And I think this might have been before I got sick. It's kind of a blur. It's kind of hard to remember, but I was very pale. I was just kind of looking at him, and I almost have a dead battery, so give me just 1 second. All right, so I'm pale, I'm looking at him, and he's just kind of talking to me. I don't really remember what was said, but then he told me that he was going to go to Walmart to pick up my medications. And that was basically it. So he gets off the phone with me, and I take another couple of naps. And after I had gotten sick, the nurse woke me up at one point. I don't remember how long that nap was. But by the time I was discharged, I want to say maybe it was about 3:30. So I texted Josiah and asked him to come and get me. So he comes and he pulls around and he tells us that he's here, and the nurse had asked me what he was driving, and we were taking the Highlander, so I told her it was a Highlander. It was a Toyota Highlander. And she looked at me, she's like, what color is it? And I'm like, because to me it looks tan, so I wanted to say tan, but I know that Josiah said it's technically silver. So I had to think about that for a second, and I told her silver. And she said, okay, well, I think he's here. And I'm like, I don't think so. I had just texted him, and it's not been the appropriate amount of time for him to get home to the hospital. So one of the people that worked at the hospital, that was what they were driving. So ironically enough, but yeah. Josiah had told us that he was here. She transferred me to the wheelchair after she had gotten me dressed, and we went to the car. She puts me in the front seat, and I kind of lay back, so I'm not sitting as straight, but I'm not like laying back fully. So I'm like at a little bit of an incline. I can still see what's going on type of thing. And she gives us a few of these to take home. Well, I have one, and I have a couple in the front seat with me. She gave us like 3 of them. So we get home. Josiah grabs my bag, and he puts it in my room, and then he comes and gets me because I just wanted to sit for a minute because car rides are really rough, especially when you're under as many drugs as I was. So I hop out of the car with him. We shut the door. I took a few steps and I have to stop. And I have one of the bags in my hand. And I needed it. I had more bile built up. So I managed to make it to the kitchen sink because the way our house is set up, so we went in through the garage and then you walk into the kitchen. So then I made it to the kitchen sink and I handed Josiah the bag so he could take care of it and put it in the big garbage. So we took care of it. And then he came back for me after I was feeling a little bit better. I don't remember the walk from the kitchen sink to the bedroom. I just remember he laid me down and I slept for a long time. I was out for a while. He must have given me my medicine before I passed out because I remember telling him that I needed my medications when we got home because I had asked the nurse at what point I was allowed to take medication because I wasn't sure like when I had been receiving doses and everything. And so she's like, well, when you get home, you should take your medications. So we got home. I took my medications, I think. I must have. And I slept for a while. So what they put me on oxycodone, which is an opiate. But basically, it just makes you really tired. So you just pass out. And every 4 hours, I had to take one. Yeah, the first couple days of recovery, I was just sleeping. I didn't get up much. When I did, I ate, I went to the bathroom, and then I was sleeping again. And Josiah hooked it up, so he has this PS4 hooked up to the TV. We have our streaming services like Disney Plus and Netflix hooked up onto the PS4. So Josiah basically turned on the TV, got everything situated, and handed me the PS4 remote. And I would put on movies just to kind of like take my mind off of the pain because it was really rough, especially at first when my meds would start wearing off. I could feel the difference. And I would ask him for more and he'd say it's not time yet. So kind of to combat all of that, I would watch movies to one, take my mind off the pain, but also I'm one of the people that can fall asleep watching movies. So I was watching movies that I had watched over and over again just so I knew that if I fell asleep, which was kind of the goal to relax me into going to sleep, that I wouldn't miss anything. So it's kind of the way I was for the next 3 days. By day 3, Josiah had gone back to work and Julia came over and she was taking care of me. By the time Julia walked in on the first day, I had managed to get myself out of bed. So our bed is still in the corner of the room. We haven't moved it yet because we have just everything everywhere, and until we start finding places and boxing things up to make more space, it's in the corner. So Josiah usually sleeps with on the wall side and I have the edge, but we'd switched because I felt like I needed to be on the wall because it just made it a little bit easier for me. So I had used the wall to get me up out of bed. And I was just walking around the house trying to get some exercise. And I think I made myself a bowl of cereal that day. I don't really remember. Yeah, I was still on a lot of drugs, but by day 3, Josiah and I were starting to do every other dose with the oxycodone and switch the off dose with Tylenol. So we were just starting that. No one had told us to. We just felt like that was the best move, so that's what we did. I don't really remember too much. So I did that for like maybe 2 days. And then I was taking 1 oxy a day and doing the rest with my Tylenol. And I seemed to be doing really well. So I stopped the oxy with 1 pill left. So if I need it, I have it, but I highly doubt I need it at this point. And then my muscle relaxer, I started cutting it in half, and I took like a day and a half worth of the half doses. And then I stopped taking those because I was still doing the Tylenol every 6 hours. And I felt like I was doing okay and I didn't really need it. But my nausea medication that they gave me was really as needed. And I had a patch that they gave me right before I went into surgery, and it goes right here. So it's a patch that's supposed to help with nausea, and I didn't take my nausea medications at all for those first 3 days because I had the patch. And then after the patch had to come off was when I started taking my nausea pills. But by the time the Thursday rolled around, this is 6 days after the surgery, the oxy had completely left my system. And the reason why I know this is actually very funny. So I don't know if this happens with everybody or if it's just me, but my experience on the oxycodone, so it makes you sleep a lot, but while you're sleeping, you still have like conscious thoughts and you can hear the things around you. So I had given Julia my house keys for this past week so she could let herself in. I wouldn't have to worry about, oh no, the door's locked, I can't do this, whatever. So she had taken my house keys. She could let herself in, wasn't all that worried about it. She'd just sit on the couch and either crochet, or a lot of times it was read because I could hear the difference. So, and mind you, she was super quiet. To a normal person, you wouldn't have been able to hear her. But because I was on a lot of drugs, especially the oxy, I could hear everything. I could hear when she was unlocking the door. I could hear when she came in up until she shut the door. I could hear her locking the deadbolt behind her. I could hear her whispering to the kitties and saying hi to them. Although they've been with me for like, they don't leave me alone. They know there's something wrong. And so if you see like Kylo has not left, this is very typical. This is the first day I've really been on the couch and he has not left me. He has been like attached to my hip because he babysits me, is what I think he's trying to do. He and Ella both, they'll rotate out. But that's basically what happens is she would either whisper to the kitties if they were out there, and if not, she would just kind of come in. I'd hear her whisper to Ash and tell him hi. I'd hear her put her stuff down. I'd hear her sit down. And mind you, she was like the quietest person. and I could hear her flipping the pages on her. I could hear everything. I could hear when someone opened the garage, like more so than I do now. I could hear, what else could I hear? I could hear people whispering when they came into the room to check on me. Like when Dad Lorenzo was getting home, because we still live with Josiah's dad, for those of you that don't know. He would come into the room and whisper to Julia and ask how I was doing. I could hear all of it. I could hear Josiah when he came home. I could hear everything. So it was really bizarre to to be able to hear everything and just not be coherent. So, very strange. Hey, hun.
Hey, darling.
You want to join me really quick?
I gotta get my teeth brushed because I got the dentist appointment.
Alright. Alright.
So, I'm gonna brush my teeth real fast.
Sounds good. Sorry, he just came home from work. But it's really bizarre to not be coherent and you still hear everything. So you feel like you're a part of it, but you know you're not. It's weird. It's bizarre. I'm pretty sure the muscle relaxer at this point has left my system because this is the most coherent I have been since all of this started. So basically, after I stopped the oxy and I was just on the muscle relaxer, I had a strange adjustment period. So basically, I don't even know how to describe this. I would get really spacey and people would try to talk to me and I would try to listen, but I wouldn't exactly comprehend what they were saying. And then I would just ask them really random questions that come out of nowhere because my mind just thought, you know how your mind like connects things? Hi, Els. Come on, beautiful. Yeah. Say we're checking on mamas. Silly girl. But you know how your mind tries to connect things and there's like one thing that leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to your question? My mind would get stuck on so many different things at once that it would just kind of pick something and ask about. It's really hard to describe. But I've actually been off medications. This is the first 48 hours of being off the medications and I'm doing really well with it. Stop trying to push that. Oh, sorry. Ella's trying to push things off the table. I haven't even taken Tylenol in the past couple days. I haven't felt the need, but I figure while we're here doing an update, should probably show you my incisions. They aren't scary looking at this point. I don't know how well this camera is going to pick it up. My phone camera seems to think they look a lot worse than what they do. So we'll kind of see how accurate it is, I guess. But I don't think it should be that bad. So at this point, I am almost completely, I don't want to say almost completely healed. Stop trying, Alice. I had a dead battery on the table, the one that died earlier. Yeah, and she's trying to push it off the table. She wants to be the only thing on the table, and she is now. She's very happy about it. See? Are you happy now? Ella? Are you happy now? You mess. Anyway, I think that they're gonna look better on this camera than they did on my phone camera, but we'll take a trip to the bathroom and we'll see. All right, so this is how many days past surgery, honey? It's Tuesday. It'll be 2 weeks on Friday.
I lost track.
Alright. So Friday was a week. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's Tuesday. So we're at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 11 days. That sounds right. It's 11 days past surgery. And they don't look bad if it focuses. Is it focusing now?
I had to darken it.
Is it focusing now?
It is focusing, but I have to make it darker. It was overblown.
Okay.
That should be good.
But yeah, they don't look too bad, all things considered. The best one is this one. And the worst one so far is this one, just because of the way that the tape peeled. This one is the longest one. So this is the one that they actually pulled my gallbladder out of. And this one is the one that hurts the most because they had to cut through this muscle, and this is the muscle that you do a lot with.
You put it on autofocus also. That's why.
Hmm.
Oh,
But overall, it doesn't look too bad. This is actually the first day I've had my waistband up and over my incisions as well, and it doesn't hurt. But I mean, all things considered, everything is healing really well. We have our doctor's appointment on Friday, and that will be the official 2-week mark.
Yeah.
I don't think Josiah's allowed to come with me for it because he hasn't been able to come, but that's okay. She's being a little terror.
I know, I can tell. They need to torment her.
Whee! You're a mess.
I thought it would be funny.
But yeah, I think that's everything. Did you want to add anything to the story of how everything happened?
I don't think so. You probably covered most of everything. I just kind of, for the surgery story.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically I just got home after dropping her off and it was just like, well, there is nothing happening here. So I just played video games pretty much the whole time. And then waited for her the phone call. Got the phone call saying that she made it for surgery all right. And then like I didn't hear anything for like, usually they said it was gonna be maybe an hour after I get that phone call that I can get her. And it was like 3 hours later, I'm like, it wasn't even, it was like 5 hours later, that's right.
I was
I got the phone
under
call
a
at 10
lot of
o'clock.
anesthesia, which I explained to them already.
Yeah, I got the phone call at 10 o'clock that she made it for surgery, and then like at 3 o'clock-ish, like right before 3 o'clock, it's just like, oh yeah, she's good, you can pick her up. I'm like, okay. Like, that took a long time.
Yeah, but the other factor that led to me not being able to get picked up right away was the fact that I got sick on all the bile. So that was the other factor.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to send you home all sick, but they sent me home sicker than I think they do most because they want to basically get people out. You are a mess.
She is being a terror. She's just being a squirrely girly.
Oh, and we got the other one too.
She's happy.
I know.
You can push these little kitties around and they're happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Other than my little project is almost done and I get to show
haven't
everyone
mentioned your project yet.
that. Yeah. I'm trying to think how much I should show them. I think I'll show them one of the parts.
Alright, well I think we should end this vlog because this vlog is probably a little over 30 minutes long.
Hold on, I won't show them the whole thing. I'll just show them this.
He's excited.
So,
Okay,
come
well,
over
yeah,
here.
because I need a light. I'm gonna sit back down on the couch.
So this is one part of it. At the time making this video, it's pretty much complete. I'm just test fitting everything, but it's one of my bigger projects I've ever done for 3D printing. And this is the valve cover for it. For its Toyota engine model. And it's basically complete and working. So I get to show everyone that, the building of that, hopefully on this channel. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Stay tuned for Josiah's project.
Yep.
But I think that's it for now. We just went over the entire surgery experience. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Nope. It's all set.
Well then, we'll see you all later.
Yep, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.